I may sound like I'm American, but in some ways I don't completely fit into American society. We're so friendly. And then you introduced me to your wife, Hyojin, who also is a third culture. And like we found a lot of similarities.
We have two very polar opposite experiences, and yet we're both third culture. Welcome, beautiful people, to the Lost and Local podcast. Hey there, we are Adam.
And Hannah.
We are two Korean citizens who grew up abroad and are now figuring out life in Korea.
Join us as we share stories and our honest perspective on what it means to be lost and local.
All right, Hannah, this is our debut pilot episode. How are you feeling?
Feeling great. Super excited.
For sure. So let's kind of like talk about the origins of our name, Lost and Local. So it kind of is tied into the diaspora of Koreans, as well as the term called third culture. Let's dive into why we decided on that name with Lost.
I'm going to share about myself in the next episode, but I identify as an adult third culture kid. And that means someone whose home culture was different from the culture that they grew up in. And alternatively, they create their own mishmash of cultures. And so I may sound like I'm American, but in some ways I don't completely fit into American society. I speak Korean without an accent, but a lot of the cultural norms like I'm missing because I didn't grow up here. So in that way, I do think I constantly feel lost.
I'll share my story a bit later too. It's a really good match for us too, is that we have two very polar opposite experiences, and yet we're both third culture. We're part of the diaspora of Koreans. And then I think the local origin is just that even though we didn't technically grow up in Korea in our formative years, we are now living locally here in Seoul, South Korea. So that's kind of lost and local. So let's also kind of talk about how we met each other.
I moved to Korea, back to Korea, July 2024. And I was looking for churches because I wanted community to find my sense of home in this kind of a foreign country. I was like looking up churches. Our church was the first to show up because it starts with an A.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And actually on the website, our pastor actually talks about third culture, and he's like, we want this space to be a home away from home. And so I was like, great, these are my people. Let me go. And I show up. There's only 15 people.
Oh, this is summertime.
Yeah.
So it gets a little smaller in terms of how many people are there.
Yep. And it's super tiny. And I'm like, oh, this is not what I envisioned. This is not what I signed up for. I think I'm going to like slip out as soon as service is over. But Adam, who was leading worship that day, makes a beeline for me. And
I did.
like,
I actually remember that.
yeah. And you're like, you look new. What's your name? My name's Adam. And you were so friendly. And then you introduced me to your wife, Hyojin, who also is a third culture. And like we found a lot of similarities. Both of us love eating and sharing testimonies. And so like we grabbed a meal afterwards, and that's sort of how I found myself like getting drawn to ARC. And here we are. We're friends, and we are doing a podcast together.
Actually, I remember that day because during this summer, and this was technically our first summer of the church plant, a lot of people were on vacations, and then some people, the people that are here now didn't necessarily attend at that time. For context purposes, we did have an attendance of over 70 this past Sunday. Oh, wow. But yes, at that time last summer, we were a bit smaller.
15.
Anyways, so it's pretty cool to be able to start this podcast because now for a little bit of context for me, I've been doing YouTube for a hot minute. It's been a while. I took YouTube kind of seriously in 2017, where I kind of started the channel. And then while I was here in Korea, I finally, about coming on a year and a half, I actually took it pretty serious. And then during that course of that time, I just started really have a desire to want to podcast. And even though I enjoy YouTubing and editing videos and talking about life, I realized that the whole like platform of podcasting has really blown up, right? And I think, at least for myself, I really enjoy listening to podcasts. And it was just something that was on my mind, like, man, it would be really nice to think about podcasting. And I was initially thinking of just doing it solo, but then here we are.
I know. So cool.
So how about you, Hannah? What was the draw for you to want to do a podcast?
I used to be a high school English teacher. may continue. For now, I'm just taking a break. But my favorite genre of literature is actually memoir. And I just love people's stories, like, because on the outside, we seem so different. But if you go into the themes, we have a lot of similar themes. Like, you can have a totally different childhood and yet like connect over certain experiences or ideas or values. And I think I love that. Listening to a lot of podcasts that were related to people's stories. And then I was like, wouldn't it be great to have a space for us to show what it means to be Korean? And it doesn't have to follow this narrow view of like, you have to speak the language, you have to have grown up here, but that there are different shades of what it means to contain that identity as Korean. And so I was like kind of sharing my idea with Adam and with Hyojin.
My wife.
Then, yeah. And then Adam was like, no way. I really want to do a podcast too. Like, I've been thinking about it. And then Adam got super technical because he's really into IT and like video cameras and all
As
of that.
As you can see.
Yeah. So I was like, this is great. Like, we have different strengths. And if we partner together, I think it'd be really cool.
Oh, yeah, indeed. So we're pretty excited. This is our first like pilot episode. We'll probably call it episode 1. But that's pretty exciting because our hope is to do this on a daily.
Whoa! I don't think I signed up for that.
Not a daily, sorry, on a weekly rhythm. So that is the hope, and we'll do our best for sure. I think that we want to, I thought of at least shouting out some of the people that we kind of drew inspiration from. Hannah introduced me to a couple podcasts. What were they? What were those podcasts that I at least started listening to as well?
Yeah. So on my personal like YouTube feed, I got a lot of shorts from Korean American. So I really enjoyed listening to their take on like what's going on in Korea. And then they had a collaboration with Honey Jam. And that's how I found out about Honey Jam. And then I was like, so many people already follow them. They're like really popular. Why am I so late to the club? So those were the two that I really like. Nice.
And yeah, when Hannah introduced me to them, I just started listening to some of their content and really just got inspired and thought, hey, I don't think that the space is too crowded. So I think there's plenty of opportunities to share experiences. And hopefully, as you all just tune in, you can kind of resonate with some of our stories. And not just Hannah and myself, but our hope is that we can bring in guests. And also, if they're not here locally in Seoul, we can also via Zoom or FaceTime, Google Meet, whatever, we can bring them in that way. Speaking of podcasts, this will not only be on YouTube, but we also are going to basically get it out there to Apple and Spotify and all the main people podcast, Pocket Cast. Yeah, we're just going to throw it out there and see what happens. Yeah, anyway, we're very excited to have you all join us on this journey together. Hannah's a little bit more savvy on the social side, so she's going to help kind of manage the TikTok and the Instagram. So we actually did open up both of them for accounts with Lost and Local. So our goal is to try to get out shorts to, kind of engage with you during the week and YouTube shorts as well. Yeah, it's really exciting. Anything else before we close out our little pilot episode?
I don't have anything. But you out there. Please tune in every week.
Absolutely. It would be amazing if you guys could smash that like button. Make sure you hit that notification bell and subscribe, because as every time we post a new video podcast on YouTube, you will be alerted with that notification bell. And in the meantime, we're very excited for this. Thank you so much for tuning in. We look forward to the journey. And in the meantime, you all, God bless. Peace.
Bye.